Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. He's the author of several books, no other than Mr. Sander Sprague.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm fabulous, fabulous like you, mister, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Sure. Well, my name is Xander Sprague. I am a author, motivational speaker, TV host, and licensed professional clinical counselor. As you said, I've written a few books. Um, my latest book, Epic Begins with One Step Forward: How to Plan, Achieve, and Enjoy the Journey, is I really love this book.
Mr. Sanders Bragg, thank you so much for sharing your talents to the world. We're hoping for more empowering books to come. So, Mr. Sander, what are the key elements that make someone an award winning public speaker?
Oh, well, an award-winning public speaker. Well, I guess uh, I've been a professional speaker for over 20 years and have uh, competed in some speaking events and received some awards for that. Uh, I love. I'm a talker, not a typer. So if I can talk, I'll do it.
For sure. So, how do you effectively engage an audience and leave a lasting impression during a speech?
You know, I'd like to have the connection. I believe that my own experience and sharing what's happened to me, really engages the audience, gets them thinking about their own experience, and helps them to relate to what I'm talking about. Um, Lots of speakers will talk about creating change and stuff. I talk about how I've created the change in my life, how I've created epic and done these epic things. And I'm a firm believer that we've all done epic things in our life so far, and there are more epic things that we dream of doing. And I want to support people in creating and stepping into their own epic.
Of course, I want to be an epic too. So, what are the some common mistakes that new public speakers should avoid?
Uh, First of all, understand what your subject is. Okay, we can't give a speech. I can't cover everything for everybody. So if I'm clear about where my niche is, exactly who my audience is, it makes it much easier to go after them. Let me give you a broad example. If you walked into a library and asked the librarian, "What's a good book?" you're not really going to get an answer because, well, what are you interested in? But if you went in and said, "What is a good English murder mystery?" now you're going to get a more specific answer. As a motivational speaker, I need to know who my audience is and where they are.
Very well said, Mr. Sanders. So, what does preparation differ from a public speaking event compared to a writing a book?
Well, I guess it all depends. Um, as I said before, I'm a talker, not a typer. So writing a book was in an incredibly challenging uh, thing for me, whereas speaking is something that I strive to do. In terms of preparing for a speech, I'm obviously trying to take the material I have and tailor it to my audience. Make sure that I have some background. Let's say I'm talking at a company. Let me understand what industry this company's in. Let me uh, customize stories to fit and be applicable to what this company does and in what industry they're in. I think that's one of the things. The other thing is just practice, making sure I
Practice.
know what I want to say, when I want to say it, what visual aids I might want to have.
Practice make you perfect, people, as they said, and mistake too. Mistake make you perfect in the future. So, Mr. Thunder, how do award-winning speakers handle stage fright or nervousness before a presentation?
Well, I think we all get nervous. I know that I do, but for me, once I get up on stage, I'm honestly in my happy place. Um, it all goes away. I see the audience there. I really get a lot of um, uh, energy from the audience, and um, getting to see how they're reacting and stuff. Um, a lot of times, it's sort of a out of body experience in the sense that I'm looking at I know what I'm saying, but there's another part of me that's looking at how the audience is reacting to what I'm saying, and I guess I'm able to adapt on the flow, on the go, as to, is this going well? Is this story I'm telling, are they reacting to it? Oh, they're not. Let me see what I can do to help bring them back. Or, oh, the audience is really with me. Let me ramp this up and dive into this more.
So, how do you craft a compelling message that resonates with the diverse audiences?
I think first of all, you need to you need to understand what your core message is, and the points that you want to make, and then being adaptable, understanding that one story can have multiple ways to tell it depending on the audience um, that you're dealing with. Um,
Definitely. Totally agree. So, Mr. Thunder, making lemonade, choosing a positive pathway after losing your sibling. Can you tell us about this more book of yours?
Absolutely. This was the first book that I wrote, and 27 years ago, I my older sister was murdered, and as I was going through that experience, I didn't. I wasn't really finding a lot of resources for sibling survivors. So, in the whole idea of the book came from actually when I had coffee with a friend of mine whose brother had passed away, and she just offhandedly said, "You know, I was in a bookstore and there were lots of books on loss of a parent or loss of a child and loss of a pet, but nothing about loss of a sibling." And as I walked away, I said, "Well, I know that. I could write a book about that." And so I sat down and wrote the book. I was lucky enough to have five of my friends who had also lost siblings answer these 28 questions. And that's in the back of the book. Um, and by just blind, stupid luck, they happened to be between 6 and 30 when they lost their sibling. And some people had been multiple years, and one person, it had been about 9 months since they lost their sibling. So there's a nice, rich tapestry in there. This book has helped people around the world, and it is part of what I do. I'm very committed to raising awareness for siblings and for sibling survivors, making sure that we aren't the forgotten mourners. And, it's been a very rewarding experience to honor my sister Lucy and help other people.
Definitely. And for sure, thank you for this book. How about your book? Let's say the second one, Epic, begins with one step forward.
Yes. Well, this book is more of I call it a self help book. Um, as I said before in the intro, um, we we all have epic things that we'd like to achieve in our life. A lot of us have already done some pretty incredible things. Maybe it's write a book, run a marathon, travel places. But we all hear ourselves saying, "Oh, I'd love to do this someday." And I'm all about today is the day. And all you need to do to begin your epic journey is take one step forward. Because most times what happens is you take that first step and are like, well, that wasn't so hard. Let me take another step. And then you take another step. And next thing you know, you're closer to achieving your epic than you could ever imagine you were.
Definitely. So after a self-help book, let's see. The next one will be Why Don't They Cry?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So this book is yet another book on grief, but this book is for parents to understand their living child's grief. This book came because of the work I do with siblings. I inevitably work with parents, and they would come up to me and say, "I've lost a son or daughter, but I have other living children. Why don't they cry?" And it turns out that this is the only book out there that is specifically for parents about their living children. And it's been very well received by the parent loss community. Um, in it, I'm sharing the experience of being a sibling survivor and trying to help parents understand some of the things that are going on. For example, I call it the new family dynamics. Um, my older sister, I'm the middle child. All of a sudden, my sister dies, and I'm technically the oldest child. And depending on your family, there may be expectations that you're completely unprepared for, and yet your parents are saying, "Hey, you're the oldest. Now you have to do this, this, and this." Um, and so, helping the parents to understand that if they have these expectations, understand that your living child or children uh, may take some time for them to understand what this role is, or being able to share with their children that they're having a hard day. Um, I know that there were many times I was close with my parents. I was having a bad day, but I wasn't about to go to my parents because I knew that they had experienced the worst possible thing,
So
and
Mr.
yet,
San, yes,
and
go
yet,
ahead.
you know, probably about a year later, when I was talking to my mom, she's like, "Well, why didn't you come to me? Of course I'd be there. I'm your parent." And I said, "Well, I get that, but I didn't want to pile on to what you are already dealing with." And in this book, one of the important things I want your audience to know about is what I call the vicious circle of care, which is I was really concerned about my parents, so I wanted to take care of them, and they were concerned about me and my younger sister, so they were trying to take care of us. But the fact of the matter is, everyone's trying to take care of everyone else, and no one's taking care of themselves. No one's attending to their own grief process, and therefore, no one's actually moving forward.
So Mr. Sander, let's go back to public speaking. How do you balance inspiration with a practical advice in your public speaking engagements?
like like almost anything, there are formulas that you can use to like you're crafting a speech the same way that in writing a book you choose what order your chapters are in to build and sort of build tension or build feeling, and then you sort of relieve that tension, as it were, and then you build it up again. um, and I think the biggest thing is in a speech is having having it be relatable to people. Um, I think the use of stories is very important because it makes what you're talking about relatable. People can understand, and ultimately, as really, I'm a teacher. I need what I want is when someone's a week, 2 weeks, 2 months after my speech, maybe there's a story that I told that helps cue them that here's what Xander said.
So, Mr. Sander, what is your short-term and long-term goals in writing,
Um,
as well as public speaking?
pardon me. Well, short term goal is starting a TV show in early 2025. So very excited about that. That's Epic begins with one step forward. Long
Yes.
term goals are um, well, they're twofold. There's sort of the two sides of my business. One on the Epic, I want to be able to help as many people as I can and speak in front of as many people as I can about achieving their Epic goals. On the other side, I really am very committed to having more people understand about sibling loss, what sibling survivors go through. Daniel, here's a somewhat scary statistic. In the United States, there's over 1 million new sibling survivors every year. We are everywhere, and yet we're nowhere. And I really want to help raise the awareness because the lack of acknowledgement of our loss has a profound effect on so many people. And I want to
Yes.
help stop that.
For sure. Mr. Sander, Book 101 review also have a foundation which help less fortunate children all over the world, giving education to them because our children need this hope, especially the less fortunate one. They are the future of our generation, so
Absolutely.
we need to empower them. So, can you tell us your upcoming TV show that you're talking about? Can you give us glimpse?
A glimpse of the show. Absolutely. So I am interviewing uh, people who are doing epic things, be it athletes, actors, business people. I have a ongoing segment that's called Epic Unexpected, where I'm talking to people who uh, have overcome. Perhaps they had an accident, or they've lost uh, a sibling, or there's something that big happened in their life that changed the direction that they were going, albeit temporarily or permanently.
Yes, looking forward for that and where they can watch it.
You could you be able to watch that on my YouTube channel. Um, Epic begins with one step forward, and it will be in the San Francisco Bay Area. It will be available locally on cable. But
That be
I'm hoping that I'll be able to get wider distribution of it.
that be awesome, Mr. Sander. We are looking forward for more empowering projects. So, what will be your advice for those aspiring public speaker over there or first timer to write their novel or story?
Well, as a speaker, uh, practice, practice, practice. Get out there. There are many places where you can get up and practice. Rotary clubs are always looking for speakers, so that's a great place to get up in front of an audience and practice what you're saying. You won't get paid, but it will give you exposure, and practice does make perfect. If you're writing a book, I think there are a couple things. First of all, understand how your creative process works. I dictated my books because, as I said, I'm a talker, not a typer. So I talk my books out that and nowadays there's uh, all kinds of translation applications that make it quite easy. They'll translate your written word. Then you have something to work with. Um, I think the other thing is create a outline for yourself so you understand the structure of what you're doing. It makes it so much easier when we create structure in our life.
Definitely, for sure. So, Mr. Sander, to sum up what we are talking about, how do you manage the balance between being a writer and a public speaker, and how they complement each other in your career?
The I guess I see my books as complementing my speaking, um, and when I have an idea for a book, I take that first step forward on it. Um, and as a speaker, it's just working hard to get people to know that you're available to speak. Don't be afraid to tell people, here's what I'm doing. I need your help. We all have a circle of friends. They work at companies. You should absolutely be sharing what you're doing with your friends and asking how you could come in and do something at their company. It's amazing what happens when we ask for what we want. We end up getting it.
Definitely. So, Mr. Sanders Bragg, again, thank you so much for empowering us through public speaking and, of course, your books. Looking forward for more books and, of course, public speaking. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your books, your upcoming TV shows, and many more projects to come?
Absolutely. If you go to epicbegins.com, you will find all the information you need about my books, my TV show, and everything about me.
Of course, people like support Mr. Sanders Bragg because if you support him, more empowering books, more coaching, more public speaking to come, and of course TV shows. So, Mr. Sander, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
More to come, people. See you soon. Mr. Sander, I'm